Welcome everyone back to After Curfew Interviews with Kyle. Today I'm accompanied with a new we haven't done one of these in a while. It's been a while since we've done a musician, and yes, you heard me. We are doing a musician. In my eyes, a very talented musician. So please let me welcome my friend and guest, Drew Storey. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, thanks for the introduction. I'm Drew Storey. I'm a 16-year-old indie pop artist based out of just outside of Vancouver, Canada. I've been making music since I was about 8 years old. I've been playing guitar since I was 13. And yeah, some of my hobbies, I go to an art school and I love acting. So that's like a secondary passion for me. And I love playing video games and watching anime, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's great. We thank you so much for taking the time to come on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Now, if you know, if you have seen any of our interviews, we do start every single recording or interview with a quote, because quotes, I say this every time and it's like I feel like I repeat myself, but then I remember it's a new person, so it's a good way for me, in my eyes, to as a conversation starter. So that's why we do quotes. Now I have a quote. I never can find the author. It's something that's kind of annoying. It's quite annoying. Can never seem to find an author, but today, more or less of the same. So, I don't have an author, but I have a quote. The quote today is, "It matters not what someone is born, but what they grow to be." It's a thoughtful one. And
I definitely like that. I think to tie that into myself, just some more insight on me. Like I was saying, I've been making music since I was like 8 years old. I was like pretty trash back then. If you go back down on my Spotify, I was definitely not born good at like writing or singing. But I think like I just kind of, part of that was, I remember when I was younger. So I have an older sister, 2 years older than me. And she's always been like a better vocalist than me. I mean, she just got accepted just a few days ago to AMDA in LA. And she's like definitely the better vocalist of us. But I remember I was upset about that when I was younger, and my parents were like, hey, if you start practicing now, imagine how good you'll be, when you're 16. So now in like 8 years. And so I think that quote, I definitely resonate with that quote.
AMDA, isn't that like, AMDA LA? Okay, because I thought it was in New York.
There's two campuses.
Okay, now I remember. Okay, that's a really prestigious performance for performing arts school, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Our family's super proud of her.
So that's a great accomplishment. Well,
yeah, for sure.
And I totally agree with that, honestly. When it's like, and I also feel like this ties into like, when you first try something, obviously you're not going to be good at it, or when you first start something, you're not going to be good at it, but slowly you'll start growing into it and you'll get better and you'll improve, right?
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I really like that, the way you put that, because I totally agree. It's like you don't succeed at first. It takes time, right? Everything takes time. So yeah, that was a really good insight. I like that. I like the insight.
Thanks.
Now, after that great quote insight, I have a few questions, because after all, it is After Curfew interviews, right? So I guess the first question, and I ask this with a lot of people. I don't ask it with every single one because it's kind of repetitive, but I ask it with the majority, and I feel like I want to know because I'm interested. What I guess would you say caused you, I guess, what was your inspiration to start music, or what inspired you to do what you do?
Yeah, so I could kind of answer that in two parts, because I think there was me starting music and then there was me taking it seriously. Like there was a big difference between the two. Right. So if we go back to starting, I was like I said, I was 8 years old probably when I started taking vocal lessons, and actually 8 when I started releasing music, which is so bizarre. but I didn't know how to play anything. That was my vocal teacher who was playing like keys on the track and stuff, but I would write the lyrics and the melody and stuff. I think what really inspired me at first, and we have a picture of me in my kitchen playing I don't play drums, but we had all these bowls flipped upside down, and I was playing them like drums along to, like the early Bruno Mars stuff. I always liked Bruno Mars. Yeah, he dropped his awesome latest track, which is super cool. But
I did see that.
Yeah, so I grew up listening to a lot of like 50s, 60s inspired music. Like the early Bruno Mars is very like that, has like the doo-wop vocals and stuff. I've always grown up loving that kind of stuff. My grandpa, he passed away maybe a year and a half ago now, but we grew up pretty close to him, and he would always play it around the house. So that was just kind of how we connected over that. And so I started doing that. But then, not January that just passed, but January 2020, I went to, do you know, some people don't, but do you know who Rex Orange County is?
Say it again?
Rex Orange County. He's also an indie artist. You should definitely look him up. If you like my stuff, you'll definitely like
isn't he like British?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I've heard of him.
Cool. Well, basically, I think that was the big shift for me. Is a lot of the reason that I wasn't pursuing, like I was releasing stuff, but I wasn't pursuing performance and stuff like that. I wasn't taking it as seriously because I was a pretty insecure kid. And I mean, I guess that makes sense when you're like an 8-year-old going up on stage. But in January of 2020, I went to his show and I came home and I was like, I just want to do that for a living. And the reason that his music always clicked with me is I found him at a time where I didn't want to do music anymore. Like I had very much lost my love for it, because if you listen to most artists, obviously there's exceptions now like Phineas and stuff, but most male artists have really, really high voices that are like on radio and stuff, right? And I don't have a high voice, and I was like, okay, great. And I guess that actually ties into the quote. I was very much like, I was not born with a high voice, so I'm totally screwed. Nobody's ever going to want to listen to what I make. But he has a very similar like raspier, lower voice, and the fact that he had a full sold out show, let alone tour, and was making awesome music with that kind of voice, I was like, oh, if he can do that, I can totally do that. And so that's when I was, last January 2020, I've been really on the grind since.
Right. Yeah, wow. Well, yeah, honestly, that's... Yeah, so you've had a long... You've been doing music for quite some time now, I mean...
Yeah, half my life.
Well, I mean, that's great. So you're saying that Rex Orange County, he's like kind of your inspiration to take it seriously.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Wow. Well, I mean, I honestly think that, when I first heard your music, I did notice that it's not really the normal type. How do I say it? There isn't really a definition for normal, but it wasn't because most
mainstream
and like exactly, mainstream. And I feel like that's why sometimes artists that are like you, that have less of a mainstream voice, they kind of get lost, and it's like you can't really find them. But I'm so glad I found you, because I listen to your music, and I did notice you recently dropped a new song. Could you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I'm gonna assume that you found my stuff off of Things I Never Do. That was kind of the song that, so to say, not really, but took off for me. It's definitely my biggest song. Right. And so what happened with that, I can tell you this story just starting there. I wrote that song, I got it produced, and I finally learned how to submit to Spotify playlists and stuff, because I wasn't, once again, back when I wasn't taking it very serious, I didn't do my research on that kind of stuff. So it got on some playlists, and then people started reaching out to me from that, and there was this guy named Aquila, and we had both dropped our songs around the same time, and we were growing at the same rate, and we just liked each other's stuff a lot. So I followed him on Instagram. Within a few days, I got tagged in a post that this guy, it was him, was doing a piano cover of my song, and I was like, oh, that's sick. So I reached out to him and I asked him if he ever wanted to work on something. We made that song together, which is Goodnight Kisses, my newest song that just came out.
Right.
And we wrote it, he produced it, and we released it within like 2 months of meeting each other.
Wow. Spontaneous.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a cool. I always wish I could be like spontaneous and do something like that, but like, I know writing. There's so much that goes into writing a song, and then like producing it. So, I do have one question. What would you say? What was it like making a music video? Because I know we had a guest on the show. His name was Michael. Michael does singing. I think this was like episode 3 or 4. I'm not sure. But the point is, Michael he had recently made a music video that that was a cover to Wilbur Soot's I'm in Love with the E-Girl, and he made a music video for it, and he was talking about how hard it was to make it. So I wanted to know, and I know did you have a team, or was it all like just a friend? Or
this was actually this was all friends from school. There was only 4 of us. There was me, the 2 other kids who were acting in it, and the camera guy who was also doing lights and editing and everything. That was all him. But yeah, I can definitely expand upon just the process of that video. That was interesting. Yeah, I totally agree with the other guy that you interviewed, that videos are a lot harder than you would ever think. Like, if you want to make them look good, they are so much harder and require so much more effort than you would think. Just like lighting and stuff like that, just not things that I wouldn't think about, or not things that I would think about. So it started with, I had my new song coming out, and I have a friend, his name's Veda, and he's in my grade, and we were taking, we took a film class after together, but we've just been friends. We're both in drama in school together, and he's going to school when he graduates to become a cinematographer. And he was like, hey, I really want to build out my portfolio. Would you be interested in making a music video together, just because I've never really done that? And I'm like, yeah, I would absolutely love to. So it was just kind of, we were both working at our... Yeah, that video was fully free.
Wow.
Yeah, so
let me tell you, you got real lucky.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, I can understand why you want to do it for free, so you can get experience. But wow, there's a lot of people that wish they could. Wow.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I think the biggest thing with us is just that, like, we've been friends for a few years, and we're both just trying to work at our craft and make it in each industry that we want. So until it gets to a point where, like, the difference is, if I was making tons of money, I would pay him, but I'm not making anything, so I couldn't really even pay him, and he knows that. Like, I told him, hey, if I ever like blew up, I wouldn't be like, hey, make my videos for free. But right now I can't, so there's that. But just to go back to what we were talking about, the 2 other kids who were in the video were just kids from my drama class who I've known for a few years. I said, hey, do you want to be in this? Pitched it to them. They're like, that sounds so much fun, or sounds like so much fun. I would usually buy everybody, like, while we were at the diner, just some fries or something to split. But yeah, we kept it really small because, it was during COVID and stuff. I mean, it still is COVID, but during it was obviously after March. Like, we shot it, I think, in October. But we wanted to keep it small.
Okay. And I understand that COVID protocols. How did you get that diner? Because it looked like it was all like emptied out. How'd you?
Yeah. So more to that is, that diner is like a 15-minute walk from my house, right? And I go there all the time just because I love 50s, 60s music. So this actually ties into like kind of my backstory and stuff, being that I love 50s, 60s music, like I was saying. Grew up with it, listening to it with my grandpa. And so that diner used to have karaoke, but then because of COVID, they couldn't do karaoke. So they reached out to local artists, especially ones that knew how to play 50s, 60s covers. So that fell in perfectly because it was a 50s, 60s diner. So I go in, I'm playing shows there once a weekend for like months. And then I'm like, hey, is it cool if after closing, because I noticed quite often like some people would just stick around after the place is closed, because that restaurant has a real community family vibe to it. Like
Right,
everybody knows
So
everybody
it's like
who goes there.
It's like the local spot.
Yeah, it's the local spot.
Okay.
And so I was like, hey, I've been playing shows here for a while. I don't want to overstep, because I mean, this was a risk. I could have totally lost my spot there. But I was like, is it cool if like once a week or twice a week we come in, stay for like 3 hours after closing? We won't make a mess or anything, and just shoot the video. And they're like, we would absolutely love that. And then I just said, hey, we'll make sure we get a shot of the diner's name in the opening, which we do, just so that if people are interested in going there, it gets them some more business as well.
Destination where it was recorded.
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. So it was kind of like, wow. So you pretty much just made it off of like favors and like people experience.
The only
connections.
Yeah, totally. The only thing I paid for was getting the song produced. Other than that, everything was free. Okay,
wow. So I mean, wow, that's tough to find nowadays, because they're trying to make it on their own, and then I feel like the biggest mistake they make is making it more about money than it is about experience and gaining knowledge.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, and I guess I could say the same too. If you want to do like, let's say per se you want to do like, per se you want to start a clothing brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you need some sort of experience, right? But you're looking for internships.
Yep.
I wouldn't like look for one that you think will get you the most experience rather than what will pay you the most per hour.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, money, yeah, it's temporary, but experiences, you can keep that for a long time, and you can use it to like, get into like a college or get a job or something like that. So it's something to put on your resume. So I feel like experiences, that's why some people, they always have this dream, but they can never get it because they over, how do I say this?
Prioritize the money.
They over prioritize. Yeah, that's the word. They over prioritize money over experience. So yeah. You have a good circle of people around you.
Yeah, so that's another advantage of going to an art school. My latest song, Good Night Kisses, if you've looked at the cover art, it's this really nice, almost Bob Ross looking picture. Yeah, I got that for free from one of my classmates. She was like, hey, could I do the art if you tag me in all the posts? And it was like, yeah. The thing is, I think the two things of why I'm getting as far as I am for free. One is honesty. And I think the biggest thing about that is that honesty and kindness of being like, hey, look, if I had money, I would pay you, but I genuinely don't. You can, that I'm like the same age as you. I don't have money. And they're like, cool, I don't have money either. Let's make something. I'm bored. And then on top of that, what was the other one? Oh, believing in yourself. I think if you truly believe in what you're doing, you will inspire others to believe in your project. Like my friends who work on projects with me believe that I'm going somewhere, so they want to be a part of that journey so that maybe they can go somewhere too. For example, if I blew up and that girl was doing my art for free, well, all of my fans would see her tagged in my stuff, so then they would all go check her out. So it's like they can see that I'm going somewhere and that I have the drive to work hard, and they want to kind of hop on that train, if that makes sense.
Right, I see. I honestly feel like you're a very, very promising artist, I must say. Like, I actually enjoy your music.
Thank you.
Some people...
Thank you very much.
Some people, I feel like... They don't have... I don't want to call them lazy, but they don't have a drive to kind of push and do things. And I feel like I probably wouldn't be interviewing you right now if you didn't make a music video. And even if you had that song and it still got the same amount of views, but it was just audio, I probably wouldn't be interviewing you. Because I have so much respect for people who has a drive to just go out there and just do it, you know? And you made a music video, and I understand how hard that is because I've interviewed people who talk about it. So I understand how difficult that is. So I had so much respect for you when I first noticed you. I was like, damn, this guy he has great music. He had a pretty good music video, I would say. Well shot and everything. There are a few things that were like a little off, but honestly, overall, it was great. It was really great. I enjoyed it. So that's why I reached out to you. And I feel
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays it's kind of hard to find someone who's passionate or wants to do something, because now there's a lot of people that have dreams but don't pursue.
Yeah, to tap into that, I think a big part of it was I used to also just release most of my songs, I guess except for that song, are all audio without visuals. But right now I'm going through a phase where, like, also spoiler alert, but I'm dropping like a bunch of videos soon. And the thing is, even I've already released the songs for most of them, but I'm going to be making more content because I think a big part of it is, like, for example, like what you were saying, like I know some people who aren't the biggest fan of my music, but really like the video because they're like film people and they like that kind of stuff. Right, I think it gives you a chance to widen your audience, and it also, it taps into new streams and stuff of areas. And I think, but to build off of that, part of having the drive is, like, obviously, like I was saying, I don't have a lot of money to be dropping like a song every single month. So I'm kind of approaching it in different ways, where I'm gonna like drop maybe a music video every month, even if the song has already come out, shoot a music video for an old song so that people have more content to cling on to. I think keeping your fan base is a big part of that whole side of things.
Right. Yeah. And I totally agree. I was about to say that when you make a music video, you tap into a greater audience of like filmmakers or all that other stuff and producers or stuff like that. So I feel like the music video was that was probably why you got so many views on that video, because it tapped into a larger and greater audience.
Yeah, I'm very glad that paid off, and that's what you're crediting to have, chose to interview me for. So I'm glad that did what we wanted it to do.
Right. So you said more music videos. Or videos in general. I'm very excited to see what you can accomplish.
I can drop a bit of more information. I think this might be a little obvious, but basically there's obviously songs from when I was little, when my voice hadn't dropped, and then there's music from when my voice had dropped. So you can presume that I'm not recording songs or videos to my old songs from when my voice. Right. I can confirm that we're not doing that, although many people have been like, oh my gosh, wouldn't that be so funny if it was just you, but then dubbing over with the voice of your childhood self. Yeah, I'll pass on that one. That seems like too much work for a meme. But so like songs, like I don't know how much you've listened to my other stuff, but I have some songs like All I Ever Wanted, I Found Me. Those are two songs that I released prior to Things I'd Never Do, and we may or may not be releasing some videos for those soon.
That's called I can't remember which one. Hold on, let me see. It's called I'm Not Okay, and it's on your YouTube channel.
Oh, yes.
Will there be a music video of that one?
Oh, okay. So, what's funny is that's just a song that I made in my bedroom. Like, I made that in GarageBand.
Really?
I just made that in I made that in
that's
2 hours.
Out of all of your music, I like that one the most.
What's funny is I completely revamped that song, because if you think about it, that's just like the lyrics are like, I'm the kid who smiles in class, but if you look beneath my mask, you'd see that I'm not fine. And it just like, it repeats the same few lyrics 3 times in the song, and that's the only lyrics. And so I completely scrapped that, and I'm actually considering going into a studio. I wrote new parts for it. Like, that's still the chorus, but I wrote like a verse and pre-chorus and stuff. And I'm considering going into the studio.
Yeah, That would be really nice. That'd be really cool, Drew.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude, that would be really sick. I do have one more question.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a few more, but this one's based on the topic that we're discussing. Do you plan on dropping an album soon? Because I know you make a lot of music, so. It's a big one.
That's the dream. I mean, I think that's all artists'
Right.
dreams. Why not? Like, not all of them are great, not at all. But I write like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 songs a week.
Right.
And so sometimes I'll just pick my favorite. My goal where I'm trying to get at right now is dropping a single every 3 months, just because albums, I don't feel like you need to have you need to have a big enough fan base to drop an album, because I find as much as a few people would appreciate it, an album is usually like 40 minutes to an hour long. And to have people respect your music enough to feel like they want to give you an hour of their life, like that's a lot to ask. That's a lot to ask for multiple people to do, and I don't have enough, devotion or people interested right now. So I think just dropping a single and growing the fan base is where I'm at right now. But yeah, out of my songs, I actually have a massive Google Docs where I have made albums out of all of my songs, so I know which songs will be on what album and how they all tie together. Because I like the concept of like themed albums, or like making a plot out of the album in my head.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Wow. Yeah, that would be very cool. Like a themed album. Wow.
So
hey, if you ever just think about creating an album and you want to release the date, you can reach out to us. We can help you out with that.
That would be awesome. I really appreciate that. Building off of that, yeah, I think something I'm trying to do, because I love that idea of like, and I think that has to do with the fact that I'm a theater kid. I think it ties into the fact that I like a continuous storyline. So I'm just going to hint at this. We are incorporating elements into the music videos where it's almost like an MCU in a sense, where like it's not just random music videos. They all sort of tie together. But like, we won't be recasting people. Like, characters can show up from past music videos and be the same people. If that makes sense. So we're kind of trying to.
So it'll become like a movie. It'll become a TV show.
That's what we're trying to do, is create like a cinematic universe where like.
That would be one of a kind.
I've seen people do that in an album, but I've never seen people tie all of their stuff together by the
tie
singles.
It all together, huh? And it's like a universe.
And that's what we're trying to do. Like, we have this idea, and I know this will sound like massive spoilers, but we have, and I guess it sort of is. I'll try to be really good about this and not spoil anything, because I don't want to piss off my team working on it. But our concept right now is we're taking, because I've already released these singles, so what actually matters now is the order that we release the music videos in, because we can create a story out of that. And even though, because people who have already heard my songs would be like, okay, why would I watch the music video if this song came out 2 years ago? Well, here's why. Because now there's this plot that brings you back. You care about what's going to happen next. And so we're doing this thing right now where it's all kind of going to be one bigger plot that all ties together.
I see. So it's like, and you said MCU, and it's like a universe, pretty much.
Yeah. Totally. So there's gonna, like, we've already talked about it. I do have a new song dropping this summer alongside a music video that we're shooting this summer. This is gonna be our biggest music video. The guy who shot my last video just invested thousands. It's pretty crazy. Thousands of dollars into a new camera. His camera is the standard for a Netflix series, which is insane. Like, his new one, it's actually insane. And we're shooting this bigger cast music video. And it's gonna be. Yeah, and we want, like, for reference, the guy who was in Things I'd Never Do, the, like, boyfriend guy who my character didn't like, he's gonna, like, show up just as, like, a little cameo. Like, we're gonna have the intro, and at least this is what we're planning on. We haven't started shooting, so I can't confirm, but what we want is, like, a little cameo where he shows up, and I'm like, oh, nope, and I just kind of walk away from him, because it's like, that's awkward. But, like, just little references and nods to the other videos and tying them together. I
was actually surprised you were able to find a douchey dude.
That That was, yeah, there was nobody, it couldn't have been anybody else at my school except for him. We couldn't have thought of anybody who
Like-
could do it better.
This is for you.
Yeah, I was like, man, that really fits what you're going for.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny because when we were like, who's it gonna be? The jacket that he's wearing in the video is like one of those like Letterman jackets, and what's funny is it was mine when I was like way younger, so I just gave it to him. I was like, here, you want this? And it fit him, and it looked perfect for his character. It was too fun.
For scaring those things away.
Well, okay, I think, yeah, damn. Yeah, that was kind of funny. Just like looking at it, I was like, dude, you found the perfect person.
Yeah, when it like zoomed in on him when I came back with the milkshake, and he's just making that face, and like he like leans over and like kisses her on the cheek, and then just stares at me. It's pretty great.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was well casted. Okay, I think I have one more question, and it's actually like totally changing the subject. Like, I hate to do this in conversations, but I mean, after all, it's an interview, so I mean,
Yeah.
For you.
I asked this with literally everyone. Everyone I know, everyone that I know, even out of the podcast, I mean, out of the interview series, out of the podcast, out of everything. I asked some of my friends this just randomly, sporadically sometimes. But, and I've done this with every other episode. The question is, I guess, with Corona and lockdown, right?
Yep.
How would you say that all of this has affected you or people you may know, or just the world in general, on a mental health standpoint? So in shorter terms, what are your views on how Corona affected mental health?
It sucks. There's no way going around it. I mean,
I know
if
it's
you're
so
like
out of the blue, but like, it's just like,
Yeah,
I
no.
ask this with everyone, so it's like,
No, I'm totally happy to answer this. For example, remember I was saying like I only gained confidence to really start playing shows in January, right after the Rex concert, and then you gotta think March, everything shut down. So I was like, I finally felt good about myself to play shows, and then they shut all of the shows down, and I'm just like, oh, nice. Like 15 years until I felt good enough to play on a stage, and then they shut it down.
yeah,
And so that affected me. I had no clue what to do because my whole plan was, hey, play shows in grade 10, 11, and 12 until I graduate, and hope that something happens before I graduate. But now it was like, okay, that's not an option. I can't be playing shows and like networking and stuff. So it was a shift for me to learn how to go like all digital with my networking. Like I used to like,
right.
I would like
Networking.
walk up. Yeah, I would like walk up to like, I don't know, the sound engineer at a show I was playing. And I would like shake his hand and introduce myself, like learn his name so that I just had that connection. But that wasn't a thing that I could do anymore. And I think, yeah, there was a point right at the beginning where I was like, that's when I made I'm Not Okay and a few of my other songs just on my YouTube, where I was just making random stuff in my room. Then I just like burnt out. I burnt out and I couldn't see my friends. Usually when you're burnt out, you want to hang out with your friends and feel better. I burnt out, had no friends because of COVID. And yeah, it wasn't good, but I'm doing a lot better now that our bubbles are kind of being able to expand a bit. I'm being able to work on projects, work with producers. It's gotten a lot better.
That's
I
good.
think that would come with any major change in life. Everybody, it's gonna suck for everybody at first,
gonna
but
suck,
you'll get
right, yeah.
used to it.
You'll get used to exactly adapting to your environment. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, honestly, Drew, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, everyone, and thank you to the viewers. For those of you who are still here, sticking around, thank you so much for listening through. And if you did enjoy, why don't you like and subscribe, and also check out Drew's content. His YouTube and Spotify will be linked below, so you can go listen to his songs. His new song, Goodnight Kisses, just came out, so why don't you give that a listen. I heard you broke to 1,000 streams. Is that true? Or...
Yep. Within 6 days, which was a new record for me.
Wow.
That had never happened.
Yeah. Well, why don't we work to get him to 10,000? Yeah.
That's the dream.
That's a dream. Thank you everyone for listening, and I hope you have a great day. That's it for us for now, and we'll see you next time. Bye.